Hello, everybody. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I'm Andy Signor, and happy National Superhero Day. In honor of that, let's go look at the Avengers. Guys, it's the 2-year anniversary of Avengers Infinity War and the 1-year anniversary of Avengers Endgame. And the filmmakers and screenwriters behind the films have been holding watch parties, rewatching the film with fans. Christopher Marcus, Stephen McFeely, as well as Robert Downey Jr., the Russo brothers, they rewatched the films 2 days ago and last night and offered a lot of cool new secrets. So I wanted to go through some of the revelations with you. Let's talk about it since it's National Superhero Day. Guys, did you know early drafts of Marcus McFeely's Infinity War script had Thanos attacking Xandor and retrieving the Power Stone from the Nova Corp's vault, which then had Nova, aka Richard Ryan, who would crash land into Earth instead of Hulk, proclaiming Thanos was coming. So this would have been really cool because we haven't obviously seen them, as the article says, since the Nova Corp, since Guardians of the Galaxy. Both Xandor in ruins, the Nova Corp decimated. It seemed highly unlikely that Richard Ryan, last of the corpse, would arrive in the Marvel Cinematic, will arrive there sooner or later. You got to remember, not only do they assume he's going to arrive sooner, they've sort of alluded to this in the past. Joe Russo has said, like, look closely in that end scene of Endgame, you'll see Richard Rider in there, but then they scaled that back and said that wasn't true. But fans then, of course, were using their little magnifying glasses to try and figure out, is he in there? There's a lot of people in there, but people have confirmed that this Russo's now said he was kidding. But yes, it's obvious to expect that Nova is coming. And it would have been cool to have him in there secretly. Maybe they'll reveal it later and no one's really found the Easter egg. But it's interesting to know that he was originally written into this script, but it would have been another new character that might have been too much to deal with. I think probably wise for them to have saved that. Then next up, Gunn and Guardians of the Galaxy. James Gunn shared his watch party. He's been doing these watch parties for both films, and he admitted that the Guardians initially had a much smaller role in Infinity War, except for Nebula and Gamora. According to Christopher Marcus, the screenwriter, the rest of the team became more involved in the story, and Gunn was consulted on the direction of those characters, even recommended that song, The Rubber Band Man, for the intro. McFeely noted how much fun it was to play with James Gunn's characters and revealed that when they met Thor, they could have done that forever. It was so much fun to write, and there was a lot more on the cutting room floor. But when it came to Gamora's death, now this is interesting, Marvel Studios chief Kevin Feige told Gunn about it, and Gunn had said he was consulted beforehand. He's also said that the character's death does not interfere with his plans for the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Really? How does it not interfere? What does that mean? Gamora's not in it? I mean, I'm worried about that one, I'll be honest. We'll go through the rest of the list, but I really don't like this, like, memory-wiped Gamora, who doesn't really know all the adventures we went on. Why not just kill her? Just kill her off. Have it mean something. It's a weird thing that, will they go back in time and ignore that? Is this take place in a different period in time where this wouldn't have been affected? A lot to be answered with that answer of Gamora is not affected by Guardians of the Galaxy 3. How would you not have been affected to know, well, your character doesn't know who these characters are, really, and she doesn't really want to be with them? Is that what he really means, and he still wrote it anyway, and he just wasn't going to write it with Gamora? That's one I'm still having trouble with that one. I don't understand it. Another one, apparently in an early draft of the script, Wanda and Vision were in Paris, and they would have been attacked by a swarm of Outriders, leading to a big bar fight sequence. And the final scene saw the couple in Edinburgh facing off Thanos' Proxima Midnight and Cornelius Glaive, but they didn't, fully go into that scene as planned. But next up was this cool thing, which you guys can see. Sorry, I thought it was up. There was a version of the script where Iron Man gave Doctor Strange his armor. And they did share an image of it, which has gone around and is pretty cool looking. It would have had the, his, what's it called? The Eye of Amato was apparently going to be there instead. And so McFeely admitted that there was several other versions of Iron Man and Spider-Man's rescue of Doctor Strange from Ebony Maw. One version had Tony sending his nanosuit to Strange, which would have resulted in an iron-suited Doctor Strange with the Eye of Agamotto at the center of the chess piece rather than the arc reactor. Screenwriters shared the picture. Here it is again, but I like that. I think that looks pretty cool. And they clearly shot parts of it. So there's so much more on the cutting room floor that they clearly haven't let us see yet. But that is a cool Easter egg reveal of what could have been to protect the amulet, during that siege. And then we talk about Red Skull. Bringing in Red Skull was always an aspect they were keen on making happen to bring it full circle from the very first Marvel film that Marcus and McFeely wrote, which was Captain America: The First Avenger. The screenwriters called his inclusion an important part of his wrap-up of the first decade of the MCU, begging the question of whether the Red Skull has a role in any future stories. There was another article I read, I believe it was here, where apparently Cap was also going to be part of the Soul Stone in the movie, and have it reside on the planet of Volmore instead, but that fell away very quickly. There was also talk of trying to get him there sooner to actually meet Red Skull, but it never actually played out. And then let's get into Smart Hulk. There was a bunch of interesting things, which makes sense given what the Russo brothers have previously said about. We've seen, toys and images where Hulk was originally in that final scene of Wakanda at the end of Infinity War, and then he wasn't. It was just Bruce Banner in the Hulkbuster suit. But there was always rumors of him breaking free from that suit, becoming Hulk during the episode. And so now they do finally reveal what that could have been. He was originally going to debut at the end of Infinity War, Smart Hulk. Ruffalo shot a scene in which Banner argues with the Hulk before compromising and emerging from the Hulkbuster armor as Smart Hulk. But the writer said the scene didn't work despite a genius performance from Ruffalo. So Smart Hulk's intro was saved for Endgame. This one feels like a missed opportunity. It would have definitely helped trigger... I think it would have made fans less triggered by the whole, out of nowhere, I'm Smart Hulk. Yeah, I've been learning over the past year. It was weird. And this is true because there's a lot of scenes where Hulk was supposed to be in that final battle at the end of Infinity War to try and help Thanos not put the glove on, and this would make more sense why he looks a little bit more talking, like a version of Hulk that would have talked and sort of still been wrestling with that. And what an opportunity for Ruffalo to give a performance like that. But this is one that I think could have been cool. So I'm curious. I wish they could let us see that scene in more of its entirety. Destiny Revisited. Marcus commented on Thanos' line, "I ignored my destiny once," saying that he was referring to his failure to save Titan. While concept art of a young Thanos is featured in the Art of Infinity War book, we never see him in the film, but given his close ties to the saga of Eternals and the Deviants, there may be a role for young Thanos in the future of the MCU, perhaps as soon as Eternals next year. Interesting to think about. But I was ignored my destiny once. What did that mean? Now we know. Avengers Endgame. Now we get into some of the secrets from there. Locked and Loaded. Marcus revealed the decision to bookend Endgame with Tony's 2 video messages, one where he believes he's about to die and one where he has died, is what helped lock the script and its structure into place. Okay, interesting. No, Captain of my Captain, whether or not Carol Danvers had ever had a larger role in Endgame, McFeely said her role was always the size it was. The goal of Endgame was always to highlight the original Avengers characters as we said goodbye. Newer characters generally took smaller roles as a result. But with the goodbyes to the original Avengers largely done, except for those newer characters, including Captain Marvel, to get plenty of screen time in the future of the MCU. And then we had a shot here where they revealed Brie Larson's first day on set as Captain Marvel, coming in giving Scarlett Johansson a hug. But that was apparently her in her first moment in character in wardrobe ever playing Captain Marvel. So it was exciting that they got to reveal that little moment. PB&J spit take. Russo's discussed the scene in which we're introduced to Black Widow, where she's eating that 5 years later scene where she's eating the PB&J over and over again, which is hard to ignore. She has it nicely cut and everything. We see her eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Because of the nature of the shoot and doing multiple takes, there was a spit bucket under the desk next to Johansson so she could spit her sandwich bite into after each take so she wouldn't have to eat 14 sandwiches. Marcus also revealed that there's extensive footage of Johansson making a sandwich, which he jokingly said can't believe was cut from the film. I think he's being sarcastic there. There was a lot of movie. We didn't need to see her make the sandwich. You maniacs, you blew it up! The Russos revealed that they had always wanted to do a dystopian scene inspired by the love of the Planet of the Apes, which if you haven't seen the original with Charlton Heston, go watch it. It's great. Scott Lang's reemergence from the quantum realm provided them with the perfect opportunity to do that and tapped into Rudd's inherent everyman quality to sell this new and unfamiliar version of San Francisco post-snap. Here we are working with our cousin, Renee Russo. Just kidding. She's not our cousin. She's our sister. That's not true either. But the Russos clearly aren't actually related to Renee Russo. Massive weight of talent. So Chris Hemsworth, Fat Thor. Bro Thor, as they've also called her, Lebowski Thor. His prosthetics weighed 70 pounds, and the actor had back problems by the end of the shoot. The beer that Thor drinks in the Lebowski scene is from a local Georgia brewery that the crew, mostly Joe Russo, were obsessed with, so they slipped it into the film. That's a cool little plug. Now you go. Go look at that beer. Go check it out. Go support a local Georgia brewery. I dig that. Hard bits. When asked about the hardest character to write, screenwriter said was Black Widow, simply because she's so guarded and tends to keep her so much to herself. As for the hardest scene to write, they said it was the one in which time travel is explained, because the process of making it sense for the context of the film and still provide character movements. They did sit down with physicists to discuss the nature of time travel, and they're referring to both scenes as others sort of put on. They made a point that it was the most challenging scene to shoot was when Hulk was learning the rules of time travel from the Ancient One. The Russos said it was because of the time travel exposition. Exposition is harder to shoot than behavior. I totally believe that. Some other cameos from the Russos' children made in the film. They're the three kids who asked Hulk for the selfie in the restaurant. And then obviously Community star members, because they did a bunch of episodes of Community. Ken Jeong, Yvette Nicole Brown also made cameos in this film, as well as Extraction director Sam Hargrave. We saw that. And then I'm going to get to some of these clips in a second, but I was making sure I had everything from this one. As they said, the crew on these films are filled with comic book lovers, so you can guess how excited everyone was the day we filmed this. This is the moment where when Captain America picks up the Thor hammer for the first time, shocking everyone. The Russos said that was Evans. They told Evans of the heroic moment early in the film's development, so he knew for a while and was always looking forward to that scene. And now here's an extra scene: Iron Man versus Hemdale, apparently, and a sea monster too. An earlier draft of the script saw that Iron Man and Thor traveling to Asgard to collect the Reality and Space Stones. Tony would have worn an invisible stealth suit, which just sounds ridiculous. He's already designed too much tech. I'm glad they cut this. But that would have debuted in Iron Man number 152 in 81. He would have fought Heimdall, Idris Elba's character. But McFeely noted that while the scene was cool, it was not emotional, which makes sense. Obviously, there's no emotional connection because you've never met Heimdall. Similarly, Nebula and War Machine were originally going to arrive at Morag while it was underwater, and they would have fought a giant sea monster. Again, cool, but no emotional connection to it, so they eventually cut it. There was a lot of movie in there, guys, so it makes sense why they were focused on what scenes really were adding to the emotion of the film. The screenwriter revealed that it was their intention to have Steve Rogers meet Red Skull and Vormir. Oh, this was what I was looking for, sorry. It never made sense story-wise for him to be there. Fans have been saying that why didn't Red Skull Cap have one final moment? This is why. There was also an original plan to have Nebula wield the Infinity Gauntlet, as she does in the comics, but the screenwriters felt it took away from the weight of Tony inevitably putting it on and sacrificing himself. I agree. That was a move I know some people don't like, but I did. I thought that was an important moment to give the character to sort of move on. And so we have some other, I do love the shot, but we have some other sort of little moments aside from that. Here was, they were just getting ready to shoot in a cathedral in Durham, but they had to wait for this choir to finish. Like, how beautiful is this? That's just like imagining you're getting ready and there's a full-on setting the tone for your movie. It's pretty awesome. Little did they know they were like, oh man, we're just rehearsing. They're about to shoot Avengers Endgame here with time travel. And then this was also a cool little throwback to sort of show how awesomely talented the crew was. They transformed a downtown Atlanta street into Tokyo for that scene with Ronan. Pretty cool. They were just able to pull that off. But these movies have so much money. No surprise there. And then here was Chris Evans in makeup. He's not that old. See, guys? That's just weird. That is weird seeing him in the makeup. Totally, as you realize, that's just young Chris Evans. It's like Johnny Knoxville and his bad grandpa makeup. But it really did look good. But yeah, if I was him, I would have shot a lot of Instagram clips as well. And then we had another one here was, I'm going to save those. Did I get through everything else? Was he always worthy? We'll get to those final two goodbyes as our wrap-ups. According to Marcus, Steve Rogers was not worthy to lift Mjolnir in Avengers Age of Ultron because he still had the secret of Tony's parents on his conscience. Interesting. With that resolved by the third act of Endgame, Captain America is worthy to wield its power. Interesting. So because he was hiding that secret, which I never really bought, I'll be honest, maybe I got to rewatch. They're playing into that a little harder to really make sure you understand. No, that was a weighted thing that he had to live with. So that's interesting. Sunday sessions with Robert Downey Jr. So every week before filming on Infinity War and Endgame, the Russos would meet with Downey Jr. so he could use the time to dig into Tony Stark's character, work on improvisations, and play with line deliveries. That line, "I love you 3000, how cute is this?" It was something that Downey's 8-year-old son would say to him. That makes it even cuter. Joe Russo discussed the notion of emotional ownership that came not only from Downey incorporating elements of his own life into Tony Stark, but the directors also expressing the values that were important to them. Downey admitted that the process of filming these movies back to back after the end of a 10-year experience should have been exhausting, but it wasn't, because of the friendship and the collaborative process that was established among the directors and the cast. Interesting little note here, too. Paul Thomas Anderson, fanboy. Downey shared an anecdote where he talked to director Paul Thomas Anderson of There Will Be Blood, The Master, who you would think might be like Scorsese and say these movies aren't cinema. No. He revealed that when he saw Avengers Endgame, he recorded fan reactions in the theater to remind him of the power of cinema and its unifying aspect. Amen. That scene was just so good. That end scene of Endgame, whoo! I wish I recorded mine. But there are a lot of them out there, so you can sort of relive those goosebump moments where you're like, oh my God, yes! Which all the fans had been waiting for. They did deliver in that, I think, in the end. The movie has problems, but they delivered on a fan experience. The future. Joe Russo briefly addressed the question of whether he and Anthony would return for another MCU film. While his answer wasn't exactly new, he did reconfirm what he said before. We had an amazing experience creatively and emotionally. It's just a question of timing and when we find the right material. The Russos produced the action film Extraction, which I do recommend you checking out. I saw it. It's pretty fun. Some great action scenes. It is a little John Wick-esque, but a little bit more serious and a lot more guns. He said the Russos produced the action film there over Netflix, and they're currently in post-production on Cherry, starring Tom Holland, which I know they've been hyping up his performance there too. But given their penchant for working with the MCU actors, it seems highly likely that a future MCU phase will again carry the tag, directed by Anthony and Joe Russo. And then to end here, they did share these two touching moments of the last day of Chris Evans playing Captain America ever. Here was the applause and that sort of final moment as he retired the suit, giving everyone on crew a hug. I imagine that was a pretty epic day for him to be able to share that with everybody. Pretty awesome little clip. And then, same thing, the final I Am Iron Man moment, the definition of a legend. Here he was wrapping up 10 years in the MCU with the cast and crew, as he did that scene in a green screen. And they noticed like, everyone showed up for that one. Hey, you want to be there for Iron Man's last green screen day? Okay. There's a lot of people there. But that had to be touching for both of them. Anyway, there you have it. Lots of cool, exciting secrets revealed from Endgame and Infinity War. I'm sure there'll be even more, but fun way to celebrate National Superhero Day to go through them all. Sorry, I'm reading some of it, but there's so much to gather that I'm just reading what they did, and that was thanks to The Hollywood Reporter for that link for helping sum it up, and Variety, and I did pull some from Twitter as well. So thanks, there you go. That is the mashup of all sort of the best moments from the watch-alongs that the Russo brothers and the screenwriters did. What film do you want to see a watch-along of? Who would you love? What's your dream filmmaker, actor, quarantine stream watch along that you'd love to see? Let us know below. And how do you feel about the Avengers Endgame Infinity movies now 1-2 years later? Like them more, like them less? Tell me down in the comments below. Also, did you know Michael Jackson almost bought Marvel? All of this might not have ever happened. That's right. You can learn about this here. Crazy truth that I drop, as well as some interview with Taj Jackson, his nephew. Please check it out over at Hugging the Cactus. But first, you can watch the Marvel Popcorn Planet video here, as well as the other content here. So please sure to subscribe. We'll be back live tonight for Change Our Minds at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see you live. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Every Tuesday. Bye!